A man in Brampton, Ontario, has a pothole in front of his house, not a small one. A pothole that is 14 inches wide, 6 inches deep, and has been there since March of last year. He has called the city 3 times. He has submitted 2 online service requests through the city's 311 portal. He has sent 1 email to his ward councillor's office. The pothole is still there. His neighbor, a retired civil engineer 2 doors down, watched this unfold for 8 months. Then he sat down at his kitchen table and typed a 4-paragraph letter. He cited the specific section of the Municipal Act that establishes a municipality's duty to maintain roads in a reasonable state of repair. He cited the Ontario Minimum Maintenance Standards Regulation. He referenced the specific liability provision that makes a municipality financially responsible for damages caused by road defects they have been notified of and failed to repair. He sent the letter by registered mail to the City Clerk, the ward councillor, and the city's legal department. The pothole was filled within 11 days. The difference between 8 months of ignored 311 calls and 11 days to repair was not money. It was not connections. It was not a lawyer. It was a 4-paragraph letter that demonstrated, in language the municipality's legal department recognized, that the person writing it understood exactly what the law said about the city's obligation and exactly what would happen if that obligation was not met. That letter is what this video is going to teach you to write. Hi, my name is Noah, and this is Maple Canada, the channel where we pull apart the systems, the products, and the institutions that Canadians trust with their money and their safety, and show you exactly what is hiding underneath the surface. Today we are talking about municipal road maintenance obligations, about the specific legislation that requires Canadian municipalities to maintain roads, sidewalks, and public infrastructure in a state of reasonable repair, about the complaint escalation mechanisms that most residents have never used, about the legal liability provisions that transform a municipality's repair obligation from a suggestion into a financial imperative, and about exactly how to use all of it to get the road in front of your house fixed. This video is going to be long. Stay with me, because the gap between what municipalities are legally required to do and what they actually do in response to standard resident complaints is almost entirely a function of information. Residents who know the law get their roads fixed. Residents who do not know the law get 301 reference numbers and form letters. About competing priorities. After this video, you will know the law to understand why so many Canadian municipalities treat road repair complaints as optional. You need to understand what the municipal maintenance obligation was designed to accomplish, and how consistently the legal framework has been tested and upheld. Municipal roads in Canada are public infrastructure maintained at public expense. The property tax paid by every homeowner on every street includes a component that funds road maintenance. The municipality does not maintain your road as a courtesy. It maintains it as a legal obligation funded by taxes you have already paid. The legal framework establishing this obligation operates at 2 levels: the provincial level, where legislation like Ontario's Municipal Act, British Columbia's Community Charter, and Alberta's Municipal Government Act establish the general duty of municipalities to maintain infrastructure, and the regulatory level, where minimum maintenance standards established by provincial regulation define specific measurable thresholds below which road conditions are legally deficient. In Ontario, the foundation of the municipal road maintenance obligation is Section 44 of the Municipal Act 2001. Section 44 establishes that a municipality that has jurisdiction over a highway or bridge shall keep it in a state of repair that is reasonable in the circumstances. It establishes liability for damages caused by a failure to maintain roads in that state of repair, and it establishes the specific conditions under which that liability can be reduced or eliminated, conditions that depend on whether the municipality had notice. The minimum maintenance standards in Ontario, established under Ontario Regulation 239-02, define specific measurable benchmarks for road condition. The regulation specifies the maximum time within which a municipality must respond to road defects of various sizes and severities. A pothole with a surface area greater than 600 square centimeters, roughly the size of a dinner plate, must be repaired within a defined time frame. A pothole deeper than 8 centimeters must be addressed within even shorter time frames on higher classification roads. These are not aspirational targets. They are legally defined standards. A municipality that fails to meet them has failed to meet its legal obligation under the Act. That failure carries financial consequences. For decades, the framework functioned adequately, or at least created enough legal exposure that municipalities maintained enough maintenance capacity. Then two things happened simultaneously, and they degraded road maintenance responsiveness across Canada without changing the legal obligation. Municipal budgets were squeezed. Through the 1990s and 2000s, provincial downloading transferred service responsibilities to municipalities without proportional funding transfers. Roads maintenance budgets were among the first to absorb cuts. The maintenance deficit grew to a scale that most municipalities cannot address. And the 311 complaint system created a buffer between residents and accountability. The introduction of centralized 311 systems created a mechanism by which complaints could be logged and effectively parked without triggering meaningful action. A resident who calls 311 has made a request. A municipality that logs the request has technically received it. The accountability gap between receiving a complaint and acting on it is where most road repairs go to die. The legal obligation has not changed. The minimum maintenance standards have not been weakened. The liability provisions are as active as they have ever been. The gap is between what the law requires and what happens in practice. When residents do not know the law well enough to invoke it explicitly. Let's start with the foundational legal obligation. In Ontario, Section 44(1) of the Municipal Act 2001 states that the municipality that has jurisdiction over a highway or bridge shall keep it in a state of repair that is reasonable in the circumstances, including the character and location of the highway or bridge. That phrase, reasonable in the circumstances, is the legal standard. It is not perfection, it is reasonableness. What is reasonable is defined in part by the Minimum Maintenance Standards Regulation, which establishes measurable benchmarks, and in part by what a reasonable municipality with the resources of the defendant municipality would have done in the same circumstances. Section 44(2) establishes the liability provision. The municipality that fails to keep a highway or bridge in reasonable repair is liable for damages. This is civil liability. The municipality can be sued in court and ordered to pay damages to a person injured, or whose property was damaged by the defective road. Section 44(3) establishes the defenses available to a municipality. The primary defense is that the municipality did not know and could not reasonably have been expected to know about the disrepair. This is the notice defense, and it is the provision that makes documented formal notification to the municipality so strategically important. Here is the critical implication of Section 44(3) that most residents never understand. When you call 311 and a complaint is logged with a reference number, the municipality now has documented notice of the road defect. From the moment that notice is recorded, the municipality's Section 44(3) defense begins to erode. If they fail to repair the defect within the time frame specified by the minimum maintenance standards, they knew. They have the 311 record to prove it. This is why the formal notification letter works so powerfully. It does not just report the defect. It demonstrates that the person writing it understands the notice provision, understands the minimum maintenance standards timeline, understands the liability exposure, and is creating a documented record of exactly when formal notice was received. A municipality's legal department, reading a letter that cites Section 44, recognizes immediately that the repair timeline is running. British Columbia's Community Charter, Section 289, and Alberta's Municipal Government Act, Part 7, carry equivalent obligations. Every province in Canada has a statutory framework that creates a municipal road maintenance obligation. The legal structure is consistent. The Minimum Maintenance Standards Regulation is the document that transforms the general, reasonable repair standard into measurable benchmarks. The regulation classifies roads into 6 categories based on speed limit and annual average daily traffic volume. Class 1 highways to Class 6 roads. Most residential streets fall into Class 4, 5, or 6. The maintenance standards vary by road class. For potholes specifically, the regulation defines a pothole as a surface defect, where the depth times the surface area exceeds a threshold. The repair timeline runs from the time the municipality becomes aware of the defect, which includes when they receive formal written notice. For a Class 4 road, a typical residential street, a pothole must be repaired within 30 calendar days of the municipality becoming aware. For higher classification roads, Class 1, 2, and 3, the required response time is shorter. A Class 1 highway must be patched within 4 days. Beyond potholes, the regulation specifies standards for pavement edge drop-offs, the drop from the road surface to the shoulder. It specifies standards for surface deterioration, cracking, rutting, and raveling, and it specifies standards for drainage. It specifies standards for winter maintenance, snow accumulation depths, and ice treatment timelines that define a municipality's obligation. The winter maintenance standards are the provision most homeowners have the most direct experience with, but least knowledge of. On a Class 4 residential road, the municipality must begin winter maintenance operations within a defined number of hours. If your residential street consistently goes unplowed for 24 or 48 hours while nearby roads are maintained, that pattern may be a violation. Document the dates, times, and conditions. Note your road classification. Reference the specific standard in your formal complaint. The specificity is what distinguishes a complaint that produces action from one that produces a reference number. BC and Alberta are equivalent. The difference between a complaint that produces a 311 reference number and a repair crew is documentation, time-stamped, legally relevant records. Photograph the defect comprehensively, from multiple angles on the day you identify it, and on subsequent days. Shot 1. Include a reference object in the frame. A coin, a ruler, a water bottle that establishes scale. Photograph the nearest street sign. Your phone automatically timestamps and geotags photographs. Use originals with intact metadata. Do not edit or filter them. Log every contact with the municipality, every 311 call, date, time, reference number, description. Save online screenshots and emails. This log is your evidence that the municipality received notice on specific dates. The notice date starts the clock. Measure the defect. A pothole that exceeds the regulation size threshold is a defect the municipality is legally required to address. Photograph the measurement. If it meets the threshold and the timeline has expired since your first documented notice, you have a documented compliance failure. Record any damage. If the defect has damaged your vehicle, photograph it immediately. Get a written estimate or invoice. Save receipts. This is the basis for a damages claim against the municipality, which significantly increases their incentive to act promptly. This is why the engineer's letter worked. It is about demonstrating, in language the legal department reads as a liability notice, the law. Opening paragraph. Identify yourself and the defect. Describe location, nature, dimensions, duration. Include your reference numbers. Second paragraph. Invoke the legal obligation. Reference. Section 44 in Ontario Regulation 239A02 explicitly state the defect falls below standard. Third paragraph, invoke the liability provision. State the municipality is liable for damages. State you are providing formal notice as documentation. Fourth paragraph, state your request and timeline. Request repair within 14 days. State your intention to escalate. Send by registered mail. Address it to the City Clerk with copies to your ward councillor and roads department. The City Clerk's office is the official record function. A letter received by the City Clerk is a formal record. It changes the risk calculus. But what if they still don't repair? Here is the escalation sequence. File a formal complaint with the Municipal Ombudsman or Integrity Commissioner. This requires a formal response and investigation. The report is public. The prospect of a public finding of non-compliance is a powerful lever. Escalate to your ward councillor in writing. Reference the original letter. Councillors have direct access to roads department management. A councillor formally copied on a liability notice letter has their own political interest. File in small claims court for vehicle damage. The process is accessible to self-represented claimants. A filed claim typically produces settlement or repair. Contact your provincial member of provincial parliament. MPPs have constituency offices to assist residents in navigating government failures. Direct provincial engagement. This applies to sidewalks, streetlights, storm drains, and other infrastructure. A sidewalk discontinuity exceeding 2 centimeters must be repaired. Sidewalk defects causing slip and fall injuries after formal notice are major liability exposures. Streetlights. A non-functioning streetlight is a public safety issue. Storm drains. A blocked drain causing property flooding is a maintenance failure with direct financial consequences for you. Trees. Hazardous trees are municipal responsibility. Create the documented record that establishes awareness of risk. Identify and document the defect today. Go outside. Photograph comprehensively. Measure. Establish your road classification. Contact your roads department. Most local streets are class 4 or 5. Pull your prior records. Calculate elapsed days. Write the formal letter using the 4-paragraph structure. Reference Section 44 and Regulation 239/02. State prior notice dates. Demand repair within 14 days. Send by registered mail to the City Clerk. Canada Post gives proof of delivery. Copy Counselor, copy Roads Department. Set a calendar reminder for day 14. Preserve vehicle damage evidence. Estimates, receipts, photos. This is your damages file for potential small claims. Act within the window. It's your road. The pothole in Brampton was filled 11 days after the retired engineer sent his letter. The man who called 311 for 8 months watched the crew arrive. The law has not changed. Only the information available to the people making the complaint changed. You now have that information. Write the letter, send it. The crew will arrive.